are you? How do you feel? Are you cold, tired, excited? Nice to meet you. My name is Bianca Yamaguchi. I am a sustainability consultant specialized in the circular economy and zero waste. I'm the founder of Zero Waste Japan, which is different from Kamikatsu City's Zero Waste Academy, which provides information and practical tools on how to stop releasing trash in Japan. And I'm also the author of the ZeroWay, which is a holistic approach to the creation of a more sustainable and ethical future. The role of my organization, the ZeroWay, is to raise an army of empaths who will go ahead and lead the social businesses that will shape our world over the next few years. Dear friends from all over the world, we are currently facing a major global climate crisis. Over 97% of the world's scientists agree that human activities have led to a global catastrophe. Pollution, global warming, melting of polar caps, destruction of forests and oceans, mass extinction of animals and so on. An ever-growing rich and poor gap, inequality, hunger, wars, violation of human rights. A recent estimate said that we have about 20 years to solve our global problems, or humanity will become extinct by 2050. During our generation, the story is real, people. Humanity needs saving. Humanity needs superhero. Speaking of which, if you could have one superpower, what would that be and why? By the way, have you noticed how superheroes in comic books have underpants over their clothes? I wonder why. But what if I told you that you too can be a superhero even without the cape and the underpants, and that you already have not one but 5 superpowers? Today we will discover together 5 practical ways to solve our environmental and social problems, but we'll focus on the importance of practicality of going zero waste. Lately we hear a lot about empowerment. We think that the governments are the ones who should change first and that the change should come top down. But the thing is, people don't need empowerment from our government or media. Today I'm going to show you that the real power lies within your hands. Like I said, we are currently facing a major global climate crisis, and I would love to say don't panic. However, we need to panic. But panic doesn't mean absolute chaos. Panic actually is good because crisis unites people, bringing them together. For once, people have a bigger purpose, a purpose that is greater than the individual. Crisis accelerates awareness, brings evolution and revolution and fast change. So I think it's the best time in history to act, because we already have the solutions. All we need is a decision. If you think you're too small to make a difference, look at Greta Thunberg, a Swedish student of only 15 years old who's leading the global environmental movement. One individual can definitely make all the difference in the world. And you are only one decision away from being the hero of your generation. So, without further ado, I will show you how to be a superhero by presenting you your 5 superpowers. Superpower number 1. Aim big, act small. In other words, aim global, act local. Our current system is failing us, so we need to start the change with our mindset. In the words of Einstein, we cannot solve the problems with the same mindset that we have created them. We need a new global vision, and everybody has to move in the same direction to achieve that vision. The SDGs, or the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, are one example of global goals. So research them as if your life depended on them, because, well, it does. Aiming big is important so we can stay united and focused. Acting small matters because we are all connected. Every small gesture, every step forward matters. Just like the flap of a butterfly's wings can create a tsunami halfway across the world, each and everything you think, say and do, every habit and every choice we make, create a ripple effect that influences people we've never met in countries we've never been to. Let's look at the biggest network in the world, our global economy. It is based on the linear economic model that looks like this. Take, make, sell, use, dispose. You take resources from the earth, you manufacture products, you retail them or sell them. The consumer buys them, consumes them, and then disposes of them, turning them into waste. It's written in a straight line. It has a beginning and an end, which is why it's called the linear economy. The first half, the take, make, sell, is called the supply chain. The last half, use and dispose, is called consumption. Where are we all situated in this model? In the supply chain or in the consumption part? So who holds the responsibility? The arrow between sell and use in economic terms is called the golden arrow. And within that golden arrow lies the key to our economy. The golden arrow is where everything is decided. That is where supply and demand system exist. This linear system has been used for hundreds of years with success. But the problem is the beginning of the chain is finite, as well as our capacity to dispose of things. One day our raw materials will stop flowing. If we keep consuming at our current rate, that day will come during our lifetime, launching a horrific chain of war on resources, greed and death. This system is not sustainable in the long run. There is no planet B, so if we don't act now, our future is grim. But like I said, don't worry, because we already have the solution to this problem. All we need to do is act. The solution is called the circular economy, and it looks like this. You take the raw materials once, you make products, you sell them, use them, and then instead of disposing them, you collect them and use them as the new resource for a new product. You take once, you manufacture for circularity. You sell sustainably and ethically, use as much as possible, collect, and instead of becoming waste, it's put back into the cycle. It looks like a circle, which is why it's called the circular economy. What's the difference between the linear economic model and the circular model? What's missing from the circular model? There's no disposal system. You take the raw materials only once, then you keep them in the production system for as long as possible. You make and remake products, you use and reuse them indefinitely. The waste from one process becomes the resource for another process. So, our global goal that we should be aiming at is to push the shift from the dangerous linear economy to the sustainable circular economy. Now let's see how we can make a big impact by acting locally. What's the first step we need to do to shift the economy? How do we stop creating waste? Up until now we've been focusing a lot on waste management, particularly recycling, but is that enough? When you forget the tap of your bathtub running and you have water everywhere on your bathroom floor, what's the first instinct? Do you reach for the mop and start wiping the water? No. You stop the tap first, right? So as a priority, you don't try to manage waste. You stop waste from being created in the first place. AKA, you go zero waste, which is your second superpower. Going zero waste. Where's the source? Which of the processes of the current economic model is the source of our waste? That tap that we should be stopping. Let's look at the model again. Should we stop using some or all of the raw materials? Yes, we should collect and reuse our materials. Should we stop manufacturing some or all the products? Some, yes. How? We refuse to buy, but we refuse to buy what? All the dangerous products that we need to stop producing are the single-use plastic products. Do we stop selling or buying some or all the products? No, but we could share, reuse and sell services instead of products. Do we stop consuming some or all the products? No, but we could reduce, reuse, share experiences and make deeper relationships. We stop throwing things all together, so we reuse, recycle, rot, resell, repair and refurbish our products. Speaking of rubbish, have you ever heard of the Great Pacific Plastic Patch? It's an island of plastic 3 times bigger than France in the middle of the ocean. The ocean plastic problem is very serious, and while we can't control what goes into the ocean, we can control the source of all the trash, which is the products that we consume. Remember, plastic lasts forever. But what about the social problems? 2% of the population holds 80% of the world's money, and the gap between the rich and poor keeps growing every year. While governments are debating the installation of a basic income model, what can we do to close the rich and poor gap and achieve global equity? Well, we invest more in our local communities. We choose local consumption over buying from big corporations. The more you support local entrepreneurs, the less money goes to the big corporations. Buying local is how you can help your community. Another thing you can do to help your community is to encourage a sharing economy by using shared services whenever possible. Coin laundries, bicycle sharing, commuting together by using public transportation, going to the library instead of buying books. Remember, sharing is caring. One more thing that you can do is plant trees and shift to a whole food plant-based diet. Apparently unrelated at first, in fact animal farming, especially cattle raising, is the #1 cause of deforestation and global warming. We are all connected. Refuse what you don't need. Reduce to the bare necessities, aka minimize. Reuse products as much as you can, so buy reusable products, long-lasting products. Recycle and rot, buy products that can be either recycled or composted. As a specialist in the field, though, I know that recycling is not a solution. It's more of a last resort when everything else fails. So basically, in order to become a zero-waste hero, we need to change our habits. The way we use, buy and dispose of products need to fit the circular economic model. That's a lot of information. So let's review again the 12 things that you can do to go zero waste. Refuse, minimize, reuse, repair, compost, share, value experiences over objects, go plastic free, create demand, buy local, design for circularity, and recycle as a last resort. Now let's talk about shopping. Think about the time you decided to buy something. We seldom think about questions when we buy something, like where do our products come from, what is it made of, how far did they travel to get to us, how long did they last, what if they break, can we repair them, where do they end up, why are they so cheap in the first place? When you can see the bigger picture, you have more control over the outcome. Knowledge is power. Remember the golden arrow, where the exchange between demand and supply happens? As consumers, we hold the key. We get to decide everything. So having the big picture in mind, knowing how to create demand is probably one of your biggest superpowers. So, superpower number 3, know your products. Ask yourself not only if the product's features and design are suitable to your needs, but also where they come from, how long they last, how to maintain or repair them, and how to dispose of them at the end of their life. Let's take clothes, for example. Do you know where your clothes really come from? Where they end up? Chances are a poor person from a developing country who's underpaid and working in terrible conditions make them, while designers and retail companies make huge profits from fast fashion. And most of the clothes end up in a warehouse, a landfill, or are burnt. Believe it or not, the fashion industry with its seasons and trends, besides being one of the huge causes of social problems, it is also the second most polluting industry on the planet. Another big problem with our clothes is that over 60% of all of our clothes are made of plastic fibers like polyester and nylon. So every time you wash your clothes, small plastic particles called microplastics, along with chemical detergent, are released into the water stream and eventually find their way into our oceans. Once in the ocean, they are ingested by fish. And who eats the fish? We do. Not only clothes contain microplastic, but we can also find it in our toothpaste, our scrub creams, and even in our pet bottles. Did you know that exposed to sunlight, pet bottles slowly release microplastics, which get into our drinks and eventually in our bloodstream? I don't have time to expand on how damaging plastic is for our bodies, but I want you to know that plastic lasts forever, and plastic is not a natural compound, so the natural world, including our bodies, doesn't know what to do with it. Talking about ethical consumerism, I want you to know that there are also certification programs such as Fair Trade or Rainforest Alliance that appear on products in the form of icons that guarantee that the products you buy come from sustainable, ethical sources. Remember how we are all connected? Making sure that you buy ethical products, ethically sourced products is one of your superpowers. Even if they are a little more expensive, always value people over stuff, as it will become your fourth superpower. That's right, your fourth superpower is to value people over stuff. Can you think of an example of what makes you happy? It can be anything, an object, a person, or an experience. We are often taught to value objects, ownership, and money, and that success is calculated by how much money we make, how many things we own, how famous we are, both as individuals and as companies or even societies. However, thousands and thousands of studies have shown that happiness and overall well-being comes from having deep, meaningful relationships. 4 out of 5 human needs on Maslow's pyramid are directly related to human interaction. Humans are social beings. They are wired to thrive in groups. So the biggest enemy of humans and humanity in general is isolation. And what causes isolation? Exclusion. Rejection has been proven to be the root cause of most mental health problems like anxiety and depression. And what makes a society or a group successful? Diversity. The more diverse a group, the more creative problem-solving alternatives. So the more adaptable to change and challenges we are, aka the more successful a group is. So your best shot at succeeding at just about anything is to include in your group people who are different from you. People from different backgrounds, with different beliefs, minorities of all kinds, people who you disagree with, people who you fear, or even people who you hate. In order to create a better future, the number one skills we should be nurturing are our social skills. We should be aiming for global citizenship, diversity, inclusion, equity based on compassion, mutual respect, empathy, gratitude, and love. Everything else is secondary. But wait, how is all this connected to the global environmental crisis? It's simple. When we forget what's important, we make bad decisions. We have unhealthy images regarding what it means to be successful. So we need to redefine success. We need to redefine what a happy, healthy society is. We need to redefine what well-being is. We need to remember what is important and start from there. So, what is a successful society? The answer is one which provides a healthy, stable and sustainable environment for all life on Earth. That is a sort of success we should be aiming for every second of our lives. As a society, we need to aim for overall social well-being rather than just being in a race for who can make more money. Last but not least, your fifth superpower, your voice. Let your voice be heard. When you want something to change, don't be silent. Your voice matters. Send an email to a corporation, call a representative, post a video message on SNS, tweet about it, Instagram and blog it. Let the world know what kind of future you want to create, just like I'm doing now. You may not be able to change a person or a company, but never underestimate the power of planting a seed, because everything starts with just one idea. So I hope today I planted the seed in your mind, the 5 ways in which you can be the superhero of your generation. 1. Think global and act local. 2. Go zero waste. 3. Know your products. 4. Value people and experiences over stuff. And 5. Let your precious voice be heard. Remember, you already have the power you need to change the world. And with great power comes great responsibility, right? So I think that the biggest challenge of our generation is how to motivate people to take the right action. So this is the call to action that I'm launching to you today. Can you find a way to change yourself, your habits? Can you find a fun way to change others, to change societies? How can we all change in a fun and exciting way so that we can all cooperate and make the world a better place for our children and the next generations that follow us? Thank you everybody for listening today. This was Bianca Yamaguchi from the ZeroWay Japan and author of the ZeroWay. I love you all. I hope to continue doing videos like this. Have a beautiful day. See you soon.